Okay. So when we talk about function, everybody knows like what type of function we have: normal function, a function with parameter, and a function which can return value. But outside this also, there are so many types of function. So first is anonymous function. Okay. So anonymous function is a function which you are going to store inside a variable. Okay. So let's say const show message function console, or let's say alert, anything. So this is, we have stored a function inside a variable. So this is your anonymous function. Why anonymous? Because this doesn't have your name. Okay. This is one type of example. Again, set timeout. That is also your anonymous function, right? Set timeout. This is also your anonymous function. Then I don't know, like if you are familiar, but in JavaScript, how do we attach an event to a particular element? That add event listener we have, that is also anonymous function. Okay. So a function which doesn't have a name. Okay. So that is your anonymous function. Now, just like anonymous function, we have one more type of function, that is named function. It is similar to this constant print message function print val. But this have a function name. Okay. So see, this is kind of an anonymous function, but this has a name. Here we didn't had any name. So this is named function, a function which is anonymous, but it has a name. Okay. But it doesn't mean that we cannot call this function directly. Okay. Let's try this also. Let's run it quickly. So see, we tried calling it. Let's see the error. Okay. Print val is not defined. Means it is not understanding what is print val. It is trying to find like, is it a variable declared or not? So what do we get like when we try to access a variable without, which is not declared? Okay. So as I said, this is a named function, but you cannot access outside this. So what's the use of it then? Consider like consider you have something like kind of a recursion. Like you say, what factorial, when we write the factorial number, right? So we call again same function again, same function inside the same function. So there we use this structure. Again, not in Angular, just for the theoretical preparation, we should know it. Someone might ask you like, what is name function? And if you answer, next question might be like, what's the use case then? So you can say a function where we have some logic, and inside that function again we need to run that logic for some different with some different value. So recursion kind of function if you need to write, so you can use name function. Okay. Now after that, a proper question is pure function. Okay, not require that anyone will ask you this anonymous and this name function, but pure function everyone will ask you. So pure function. So in the name itself, you can see a function which will produce same output with same number of parameter whatever you pass. A function will produce the same output with the same number of values whatever you pass as an argument. It is not going to change the output. If you, let's say simple function, let's say function add, we pass num1, num2, return num1 plus num2. It's a very simple function, but this is a pure function. Why is it? Because let's say I write constant result is equal to add, I'm passing 2 comma 3. Doesn't matter how many time I call this, it is going to provide me the same output. Okay. Function add, which has two parameter, and we are simply adding the parameter and we are returning it. Okay. I'm saying like this is a pure function. Now let's try to change it. One more function I'm going to create. Function add to number with square or something. Here also we have two parameter, but here I'm using one more variable where global num2. Now in this function, I'm going to return a sum num1 plus num2. But whatever the output of it, I'm going to multiply that with that global variable, global num. Now I'm saying above function is a pure function and this function is not pure function. See the difference. The first function add is a pure function and second function is not a pure function. Okay. What was the definition? A pure function is a function which is going to return the same output with passing same number of parameter, whatever the value you pass. Every time you are passing 2, 3, it is going to give you the same output. Why? Because in this function is, we are not using any outside variable. So every time we pass 2 and 3, it is going to return the same output. It is not dependent on any outside variable. Now in this function, if we pass 2, 3, we got 5, and let's say 5 into 2, whatever the value we get. But this variable value, I can change it also. Let's say this function I called over here, I will get the output. After that, I have changed the variable value to 3. Now again, if I if I call the same function with the same parameter, now your result is going to change. So that's what our definition is. Pure function is a function which will return same output with the same number of arguments, which is not using any outside variable. It is not dependent on any outside variable, outside state, whatever you say. So this is your pure function. Everyone is going to have this question. Okay. Means whenever interviewer will start JavaScript, 50% time there is a guarantee that they will ask you pure function. Okay. I'm allowing to unmute. Just quickly, if anyone have any question. Understood pure function? This is important one. It's a very simple one, but you have to know the difference.
I have one doubt.
Yeah.
We should not reuse the variables outside, no, if it is a pure function.
Yeah, that's the logic. Now, in pure function, we should not use outside variable because this outside variable value can be changed now from any function from anywhere.
Like,
So then this is not pure.
like in if, in second 22nd line, there are two parameters, num1, and num2. If we return only num1, then that is also pure function.
Yeah, logic can be anything.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
you pass same parameter, every time it should return the same output. Okay. If you are not able to understand that, simply say a function which is not dependent on any outside variable. That is also the definition. Whatever you are able to understood. Or again, simple, a function where you are not using any outside variable. That's the easiest one. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Let's go ahead. Now, we have first class function and higher order function. Again, like both are almost same, but somewhat it is difference. No one will go into that deep. Either they will ask you first class function or the higher order function. Both are almost same, just a little bit difference is there. Don't try to go into that. Okay. Now, what is first class function or higher order function? A function, it is again like it's not something new. It's just a, what do we say, jargon in specific to JavaScript, you can say. Function which can be assigned to a variable means anonymous. This is also your first class function. A function which can be assigned to a variable, that is your anonymous. Basically, it's an anonymous function, but again, it classified as a first class function. Okay, that is the first one. A function which can return another function as another function. Let's say function welcome message. And this function is going to return another function. Okay, so see, this function is returning another function. This is also first class function, a function which is returning another function. Okay. One more. Let's say we created function get sum. It has two parameters, and 1 and 2, and one more parameter, that is callback. Okay, here I'm completing two topics, callback and the higher order function also. And here we have another function, print result. Num, whatever the result I get, that I will print it, console.log num. Okay, here I will have the logic constant result is equal to n1 plus n2, and this, first let me call this function. So see, this get some function has three parameter, n1, n2, and a callback. Now when I call this function over here, it needs three parameter, number one, number two, and third, callback. It's just a name, we can give it anything, but here I'm passing this function as a parameter. Means while invoking this function, I'm passing two integer and I'm passing one more function as a parameter, and that I'm accepting over here. So this is nothing but your callback function. Now this callback function I can execute over here by passing the result. So let's add a debugger and see it properly how it behaves. Here also I'm adding a debugger. Here also. So see, currently line number 51 we are there. Once I invoke this function, it will go to my get sum, n1, n2, and a callback. In callback, what we are saying, function which we have to execute. So we got the result, and now this result we are passing to this callback function. We are invoking whatever the function we got as a parameter, that we are invoking, executing over here with this parameter. So now it will go to your function, see, and you will print it. This is nothing but your first class function also, and specifically it's a callback function. So what is callback function? A function which you can pass as a parameter to another function, and that function you will execute in that function after particular number of lines. Clear? A function which you are passing as a parameter to another function, and there you are executing that function after a number of particular line. This is your callback function. Clear? I'm unmuting. Understood callback function? Just like pure function, this is also important question, callback. Understood? Anyone having quick question?
Yes. So in real time, where we will use this kind of functions?
So real time, if you are working on JavaScript, you can use so many times. Let's say you have a function which has some generic code. Okay. And that kind of code you are going to need it in multiple time, multiple places you are going to need. So that kind of reusable logic, you will write it over here. And wherever you need that, wherever you need to have that reusable logic executed, there you call this function like this, passing with the parameter. Okay.
And sir, can you show us the showcase of the other function welcome message, how it will work?
So this was a normal function which was returning some value. So if a function is returning some value, so we need to hold it into some variable, correct?
Yeah.
Welcome function, you are returning it over here. Okay. So this function is returning some value. We know return keyword is, but it's returning some value. But in our case, it is returning a function. Now this my function, you can execute over here. Now, let's add a
so
debugger
means
over here.
in itself will not print console.log some message.
We
The
need to
50th
execute
line
this now
will do.
because this is what you are executing, this function only, and it is returning it, but we need to invoke it also now again. We are storing it over here, then we are invoking
Okay,
it.
okay, got it.
Okay. So callback function, everyone clear?
Can you repeat this one? A function which returns another function in call?
A function which
Return another function.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. What we can call this one?
it will categorize under first class function. Like anonymous
First
and
class
callback, we
function.
don't have something
So
name to it.
if it is accepting another function as a parameter, like if it is called higher order function, right?
Yeah, so as I said, higher order or first class, anything you say. Okay.
The confusion, like first class function or higher order, it
See,
is same, right?
again, as I said, first class function and higher order function are both same. Okay.
Okay, then fine. Okay.
Okay. It's just to categorize that. Again, I said there is
Yeah.
a difference, but
Mm.
you don't have to go in deep, because other person, what he has in mind, he will again try to get that answer only from you. And what you know might be something, it's the same thing, but what you are explaining might be something in a different way. Then he won't be happy. It's just a categorization of the function type. Okay. Vishal, can you clear the?
Yeah. Fine.
Vishal, please clear this. Otherwise, again, I have to stop and share. Okay. So we are seeing first class function. So a function which can return some value, a function which can accept another function as an argument, that is also first class. Okay. Now, where fun array. Just a minute. Function round bracket console.log first comma second third, or let's even message also over here. So what we did over here,
Stored multiple functions in an array.
we have created array of
Functions.
Okay. We have normally we create array of string, integer, array of object, right? But we can create array of function as well. This will also categorize as first class function. How we will execute this? Let's say I need to execute this function.
So we will execute by the index of the
Right?
array.
One execute. Let's see. Second got printed. Understood? Clear everyone, right? Again, this is we created array of function where student print name what is it, print name colon function comma get name.
So can we make it this one as an arrow, get name?
Yeah, arrow also, no? Same thing. Either a normal function or a arrow function. So what we did in an object, in a property, we have stored function. Okay. So whatever we did, all these categorized under first class function. Okay. And again, all these are also nothing but higher order function as well. So just a simple definition of function which can be assigned to a variable, a function which can be passed as an argument to another function, a function which can accept function as a parameter also, right? A function which can be stored in an array or object also. Everything can be categorized as a first class or a higher order function. Again, you already know like array and the object you might not have seen, but remaining you know. So it's just a jargon we have in JavaScript. Like you know it, but you don't know like that is being called this. Okay. So these are first class and the higher order function. Callback function I have already explained. One more type of function is there, just like anonymous. Okay. Function round bracket, curly bracket, enter, and then I will invoke like this. Console.log on load. Okay, so see now we got this printed. So this is self-invoking function. This doesn't have a name and it will be invoked as that particular line get executed. Self-invoking function. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we have created, instead of this, we can have arrow function also. It's not going to make a difference. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, yesterday we in closures we use function inside function, right? So that is also a higher order function.
No. When we say higher order and first class, the function, creating function inside a function, that's not higher order. But if you are returning that function, that's higher order. That will categorize under that. Got it?
Okay.
Definition is like you are either returning, you are passing a function as a argument, or you are accepting function, right? Either you are creating array,
Yes.
so that. But that is just normal function. We don't classify that as higher order or first class.
A higher order function.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is your self-executing function. Now comes the most famous one. What's the most famous one when it comes to function?
Arrow function.
No, that's a type of function. What's the most famous question when it comes to JavaScript regarding function?
Callback has a cutting function.
Self-executing.
No. Call, apply, bind.
Immediately invoke function.
Call, apply, bind. Anyone? No one has faced this question?
Those
Call,
are methods,
apply,
right?
bind.
Function methods.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Call,
Right?
bind, apply.
Okay. So let's see that. Let's say you have a function print details console.log, and inside this function you are accessing all the properties with the this operator. Okay, you are creating a function where whatever the values you are accessing, that you are accessing as a this. Okay, so let's say name is this dot name. Okay, then let's say this function also, or let's go with basic first. So we have a function. Inside that function, we are trying to print the value, but that value should be having the name property. Okay. Now, this function, I will create one more object. Constant student is equal to curly bracket. Inside this student, we have a name property. Okay. Now, print detail dot. So see, when you press a dot, normally where do we press the dot? Where do we use dot operator? Object.
Object.
Right?
Object.
But function, just like object, we have key properties, we access those by using dot. So when you press dot on the function, you get some properties. Okay, so see. So here we have call. And while calling this function, you can pass your another object. Okay, this object you are going to use as your current object. So this student object, I am passing it over here. So now in my student object, I have a property name. So when it point to this, it will check whatever the object you are passing. Do we have a name property over? If yes, it will print it. And this will invoke automatically also. See, name is Rahul, we got. But let's say in my property, I don't have name property. I have surname. Now what it will does?
Undefined.
Undefined. Right? Clear? We said whatever the object you pass, it will consider that and that as its own object. So it will check if the property, whatever we are accessing by this, if that property present in the object, whatever you are passing, it will print it. Otherwise, it will print undefined. Clear? This is your call.
I have a small question.
Good.
Rather than invoking the this method like this by pointing to call, right? We can also pass that student into the
parameter
as a parameter.
Yes, obviously.
So what's the difference? Like why we are doing like?
Consider reusability. Okay, this comes into reusability. You have a function, not just this, because we are just saying the explaining the topic, so I'm using console. But in real project, you are not going to just use the console. You might have some different set of execution lines, right? Let's say you have some code, okay, which has some line of code which you means how do I explain that? Consider e-commerce application. In e-commerce application, in every page you have in product object you get SKU and the product name also. And while displaying, you need to bind that SKU and your product name. In every pages, you are going to do like that. So if you don't have some reusable method which will let you bind the object, are you able to relate? We are trying to create a reusable function which you can use on any type of object where you are going to have that particular name of properties. Getting it?
Little bit, but with the example, it will be more clear.
Yeah. So again, like we work on Angular, so I cannot. If it was the same concept in Angular, I could have created a scenario. Okay.
Okay, no worry.
Fine.
We can go through
Again,
after.
like see, these questions no one is going to ask you just create a scenario also. He also know like in Angular we cannot do like that. Okay. So but just concept. Okay. Fine. So this is one way. One more way is like we can have a parameter also over here. Let's say city, and then city is, and here you can print the city. Now while calling this, first object will be your actual object, what you are going to pass. And if this function has a parameter, that you will pass it as a parameter. Save. So name is Rahul and city has got it there. Whatever the parameter we said. We can have multiple also. State. So sorry, my free meeting is there today. Meeting will end. So whatever we can complete, we will. Later we will complete tomorrow. Now second parameter, Maharashtra. So see, everything it is printing. This is call. But let's say so many parameters are there, right? So like passing it as a like this kind of a, what do we say? Means instead of passing it as a multiple parameter, we in case of call, we cannot pass array over here. So for that, we have one more way, that is apply. So in apply, we can use the same method, but the parameter now you can pass it as an array. Okay. So these two things I will pass it over here as an array. Let's comment this, and we are using apply one. Same output I'm getting. So whatever the array you are passing, that many number means Pune will be assigned to the city, Maharashtra will be assigned to the state. Call, you cannot pass an array of argument, but in case of apply, you can pass array of argument. Okay. Both are working as the same, nothing difference. Now bind. Now call and the apply, they both invoke automatically. But in case of bind, we can store it into another function, and after some particular time, we can execute it. So constant future function is equal to, let's say, this function I'm calling with this object, and then I can execute this. What it is saying? Dot bind. Okay. So see, it is printing. We didn't pass parameters over here, so it is printing undefined. But one more catch is there. Like here, let's try to pass Pune and Maharashtra as a array. Okay. What it has done, if we are using bind and if we are passing array of a parameter, what it has done, in the city only it has printed both the thing. So bind, you cannot pass an array. So if you pass an array, both these elements will be handled, will be accepted in a first parameter only. So only in the apply you can pass array of parameter. In the call, you can pass array of string, and here also you have to pass number of parameters only like this. Now Pune and city will be handled together properly. So call, apply, bind. Call.
I have a small question over here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So without bind, we can also assign that function to future function, right?
Yeah, let's try. Constant apply function. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you saying?
Apply function is not, but I'm saying different. Can you go to
How?
this? Just remove that apply.
Yeah, that's the normal thing, then. That's normal thing. Whatever we used to do over here. That's normal thing. I'm saying call, apply, bind. So in case of call, apply, bind, in case of call and apply, you cannot store this into another function and then you can execute. Just with the bind, you can do like that.
That
Again,
time
without
this
bind, we
will
can also
this
do,
will not
right?
refer that time.
Huh?
Without bind,
That
also we can assign to the variable, right?
Yeah, without call, apply, bind, also normal function you can assign, and this you can execute.
that time it will not correct, right? How it will take this value then?
Which
You are
value?
passing.
Yeah, so this,
He's asking.
that's why
Yeah.
saying, na. So you won't be
Yeah.
able to, this won't work in that case. That's why
Yeah.
we have
That's
call,
right.
apply, and bind.
Yeah.
In normal
Okay.
function, you have to pass up parameters only then, right? So this context won't work like that then.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So it was 40 minutes, so it might. Now currying and that generator function I wanted to explain, those are the some hard. Okay. So tomorrow I will cover that currying and the generator. These are that are also easy one, but it's kind of hard to explain. And most of the time they are also getting asked. Okay. But majorly call, apply, bind, everyone will face. Call, apply, bind, callback. Okay. Then what we saw?
Types of functions.
But they normally they won't go like that, array of function also, but callback and the call, apply, bind, this they are definitely going to ask. Again, if they move ahead, then currying and the generator function they might ask. But call, apply, bind and the callback function are very famous one. Okay.
So like we can't do this with arrow function because here like we use
We are
apply,
using
call,
this
apply.
na. So this operator,
Yes.
when I'm going to discuss that arrow function and the normal function, how this behaves when we have this what do we say, arrow function and your normal
Okay.
function. So this will behave differently in case of arrow function and the normal function. In ES6 feature we are going to see there, I will explain it properly. Okay.
Right.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah, quickly.
Kindly access this keyword inside inner function.
This keyword inside inner function. Let's say we have function inside this. Yeah. Because this is a normal function, not arrow function. So we can access this also inside the inner function. Okay.
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, in which scenario we will use rest operator as a parameter to the function?
No, that's a spread. Okay, sorry, rest operator. Now, when you want to pass multiple parameter, your parameter is not limited. Sometimes you can send 2 also, sometimes you can send 3 also, sometimes you can send 10 also. So with normal function, you cannot, if parameters are dynamic, let's say you want to create a function which is going to add number of numbers, which is going to do the sum. But sometimes you want the addition of 2 numbers, sometimes addition of 3 numbers, sometimes addition of 20 number. So can you create a function like that? Where parameters are not fixed.
Not possible, sir.
Right?
Not
so
possible.
there we use rest operator, where parameters are dynamic. Okay. ES6 feature tomorrow we will see. There we will see all this. Okay. Rest, spread. What do we do with that? Arrow, normal function difference, let const, where. Fine. So let's stop it for today. Tomorrow we will sit longer little bit. Okay, fine. Thanks all for joining.
So it will be the same time, 8 o'clock tomorrow?
Might be little bit early, or no, sorry, tomorrow we have Hanuman Jayanti, so we won't be connecting. Let's connect on Monday only. Okay. Fine.
Okay, sir.
Thanks all. Or in the afternoon we can
Thank you.
connect.
Thank you.
I will put
Sir,
the
it's
message in
hard for
afternoon.
me in the afternoon.
We have Saturday, na? You're
Yeah,
working?
please intimate, sir, in group.
Yeah, I will.
For EST time zone is hard for me over here.
Okay, EST time
Yeah.
zone. But still, like even after 10 also, it won't be good for you also. Okay, na, fine. We'll check.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you all. Thanks for joining.